Hey everyone, I'm Patrick Jones. Welcome to episode 53 of That Gives Me Anxiety. Make sure to not wear the Utah Jazz giveaway t-shirt for the third episode in a row. Wearing just a green shirt. Actually got this in Copenhagen. Forgot about that. Doesn't fit me. I don't really wear it out of the house that much, you know. It's made for a Danish man, slender. Meanwhile, I'm an American. Put butter on my butter. As if that's something to be proud of. Just want to give you the heads up that I'm going to take next week off. I'm going to enjoy Thanksgiving. I'll be up in Minnesota, freezing. Be at the Vikings and Cowboys game, visiting some of Jamie's family. Looking forward to it. Thanksgiving's the best. Just sit around and eat. Yes. Yes. So yeah, I wanted to be present and focused and not worried about podcast stuff for a week. It'll be nice to take a break. I haven't missed a week since I decided to go weekly with this podcast. I think in March. It's a lot of weeks, you know? But I've got a great episode for this last one for 2 weeks. You know, it's not as epic as it sounds. Today our anxiety is caused by the airport. You know, what if there's traffic? What if my tickets don't work? What if the line of security is so long? Right? These things just make you crazy as you plan your whole day, right? And sometimes several days before leading up to it when you have to go to the airport. And to help me out, I have my good friend Hannah Levinson, comedian, and RTT Therapist Kate Semeniuk, who helps us out with some different ways to think about our anxiety related to the airport. So before we get to the interviews, I just want to remind you, if you're liking the show, to rate and review it on whatever platform you're listening to it on. You can check the show out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, or YouTube. YouTube is where you can actually see the shirts that I'm wearing, that I'm talking about in my opens. And if you are liking the show and you want to support it and support me, you can do so by making a donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link. It's in the description wherever you're listening, and it's just a way to send a couple bucks my way as a way to be like, keep it up, Patty. Well, I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of good stuff from this episode. Anxiety related to the airport is pretty prevalent. I've already considered it. My flight is at 8 a.m. on Sunday. It's like, am I going to wake up on time? What's the right time to wake up? I don't want to miss it. But I also don't want to be in the airport too early. But then again, when do I get coffee? Last time I had a morning flight out of Charleston, the coffee lines were too long, and I didn't get coffee. Not an option. Not, and because I need cold brew. I need it strong, and I need it cold. So, as always, thank you so much for listening, and enjoy. Joining me now on the podcast, I have my good friend, comedian, and Pittsburgh Steeler fan. I feel like that's how I have to introduce you, Hannah Levinson.
It's important that people know that.
Yeah, right up. I've made it part of my personality.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's lovely. I don't even know what day it is. Wednesday?
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah.
We're at Wednesday. We're halfway.
Yeah. Well, we know each other from the Pitt comedy circle, I'll refer to it as, or like high school or cult or however you want to call improv. But we've been friends for a while, and this episode idea comes from you, and it's something that I didn't know about you because you're so calm and cool and collected, but you're saying you're very anxious about going to the airport. So I'm curious, have you always had that, and where do you think it comes from?
So I think my airport anxiety began in my youth. Definitely. I come from a long line of airport anxiety-ists. My parents have no chill when it comes to the airport. And then they had 3 children who were not cooperative at all. And we had to corral them to the airport. And it was just hysteria. And it wasn't like, when you have parents, you need a yin and a yang. You need the calm parent and then the hysterical parent that will blend into something functional. Both parents were just hysterical people about the airport.
Oh my gosh. Like
So
getting
that
there
was just like,
early.
yes. So like beginning with getting there early, we could hit traffic. What would happen if we hit the traffic? We would miss our flight. How would we get on the next flight? The vacation would be ruined. You know, we paid all this money to go on this vacation, blah, 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 blah. Like every pessimistic glass half empty possibility was how they drove every decision going to the
Mm.
airport.
And
Mind you, my whole childhood, we missed one flight. We were in Florida. We were flying back to Pittsburgh and there was traffic and we missed the flight. And to this day, for me, that's like a traumatic memory. And it's honestly not a big deal.
yeah.
Like my husband has missed so many flights and
Has
he
he?
doesn't even blink at it. Not like so many, but in his life, he has missed flights and they have impacted him in no way. But I have held on to this one Florida flight that we missed as like this like great failure that just gives me like that could happen again.
It just reinforces everything that like you've seen
Yeah.
it.
I'm like, these are rational anxieties because I did miss that one flight that one time in Florida and everyone was screaming in the car. My parents were like, no chill,
Oh
glass
God.
empty. How are we ever going to get home? Meanwhile, we probably just got on the next flight. It wasn't probably that big of a deal, but the fear, the anxiety, the feelings, all of that related to that moment, like I think that's my source.
True, right? Like I guess
That's where the journey began.
well, it's like I get anxious about airports, but I think it started when bachelor parties started.
Yeah.
And like I would just be like hungover and so I've like associated the airport with extreme discomfort, but
Yeah.
it's starting to peel away as like I'm not drinking like that, as
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
36. But it's funny how much you like hang on to that memory because you're probably
Yeah.
just equating it with like everyone's gonna be yelling, but like your husband
Yeah.
is Steven is like the most calm person, so it's like
Yeah. He like is like,
he's
it's
not
just
gonna
not
be
a big
yelling.
deal.
Yeah.
He's like, we can get there 30 minutes before. I'm like, that is so irresponsible. I can't even believe you're saying that to me. So I have a flight tomorrow, right?
Uh-huh.
Flying to Mexico with my family. If I solo fly, I'm actually kind of fine.
Mm,
I can go to the bar. I can have a glass or two of Sauvignon Blanc. I
sure.
will talk to whoever is next to me. It'll be a weird conversation. I'll text my friends and like laugh about my conversation. I'll get on my airplane and it'll be fine. But if I'm in a group, I don't know if they're going to hold it together. I don't know if they're going to cooperate. I don't know if they're going to be ready on time. I don't know. Now that I have a toddler, it's no fun anymore.
She will not
Like
be ready on time. Yeah.
she won't be ready on like first we have to like get the car seat and the Uber and like she needs like we have to travel with the car seat. We have to travel with the travel crew. We have to like bring her like bag of toys. We have to like basically anticipate every situation for her, bring it, and then get her through the airport. And then she has to like sit in a chair for 3 hours, which
Mm-hmm.
is like it may or may not happen. And if she poops on the airplane, I mean, that is a devastation that I don't even know how to equate that devastation. Like going into that small airplane bathroom and changing a stinky poo diaper.
Mm,
It is
not
like
fun.
I'm giving her like all the things that clog you up the day before a flight, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
bad.
so has she flown before? And if so, how did she do?
Yeah, she's flown quite a bit because we were in Pittsburgh, Steven's family's in California. So we had to do that cross country trip a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
When she was younger and she didn't move, when she wasn't mobile, she wasn't walking or crawling, she kind of just like sat in the seat and we went through the toy rotation, book rotation. But now that she walks, it's like she just wants to get up, walk around, check everything out, go up and down the aisle,
Yeah.
which ends up being Steven's thing. Cause I feel like that's like a dad thing to walk up and down the aisle. Cause like people are like, the dad's doing it versus like the mom. It's like she's stressed out and she's walking up and down the aisle, but it's like dad's walking down the aisle. So he kind of like takes that responsibility. But she'll scream. Like we did a night flight the last time we flew to California. Now we live here. So we were flying here to move here and we did a night flight. And she was like kind of sleeping, but anytime she heard anything, she would like wake up and start crying. So we were like that family, and that was really stressful.
I can imagine. And I don't know, I've never been upset at parents like who are just trying to like do their best with a toddler, but you see people on planes legit be rude to like,
Yeah.
I was on a flight recently and there was this mom with like 3 little ones, and so like there were only 2 seats, so like she had her and like the youngest and then 2
Yeah.
more across from her, and she was just like, here's the toy, like just like she seemingly
Yeah.
had like 10 arms, and there was this
Yeah.
old woman behind her who like just kept standing up and being like, would you quiet them down? It's like this woman was stressed out beyond belief, and I just don't
Right.
understand how people could be so rude or not
I
understanding.
know. People are like so inconvenienced by it, but no one is having a worse day than that mom.
No, no one.
No
Yeah.
one. That's like a horrible memory for her. And you're just like being annoying on an airplane.
And let's be honest. Airplanes, no matter any way you slice it, suck. There's
Yeah.
no like airflow.
They're uncomfortable
Right. The
seating.
seats are small. You're surrounded by people and nobody, they're in your personal space. You're sharing armrests with someone
Yeah. You're
who,
touching arms with a stranger.
which is not, yeah, especially if we just came. I never was like a hypochondriac, but like coming out of COVID, I
We're
feel,
all afraid.
yeah, just like give me
Like
more.
your body just gets as small as it can. You're just like, how can I fold my body up like a folding chair so that I don't have to like touch anything?
Yeah. I don't want to touch you. I don't know where you've been.
I don't know where you've been.
So do you think your anxiety about going to the airport, has it gotten better, or is it pretty much where it's been since Florida happened?
So Florida happened. I think from there on out, I'm getting to the airport 2 to 3 hours early. I'm just kind of like enjoying myself there so that I'm like, so I know that I'm there. Because
Hmm.
otherwise, I'm sitting at home, I'm staring at the phone, and I'm saying, my flight leaves in 3 hours and I'm here. And I think of everything that could possibly go wrong in those 3 hours. Like, okay, reasonably, the airport's 45 minutes away. I have pre check. I should get through. But
Hmm.
what if there's an accident? What if there's a long line in the luggage? Because those people are always really slow.
Yeah.
What if the security line is like crazy? What if? Like, that's just like all these things go through my head. I'd rather just be there. I'd rather hang out, check out duty free, grab a magazine, sit at the airport bar. I'd rather just be there. But when I guess like the years when I started to do like the bachelorette parties, the solo stuff, I would maybe get there like an hour and a half earlier because I was like, I only have to control myself. But now that I
Hmm.
have to control a whole family, yeah, it's just like I'm back on the spike. I'm back
Oh
at like the
no.
peak anxiety. And it really just comes down to like the feeling of having no control. You have no control at the airport. And then when something goes wrong, they treat you like garbage. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, the flight didn't take off. Well, it's not our fault. Or like, your luggage is too heavy, so you have to pay more. Or like, oh, this isn't going to fit. So it's like you're just constantly being punished, and you pay so much money for them to punish you all the time. And if you screw up, if you miss your flight, like you have to pay for that. But if they screw up and like they don't even have a seat for you, like it's not their fault. And
Right.
that's an abusive relationship.
It
And
is.
everything, and it's just like one abuse after the other. It is, you feel no control, you feel victimized the whole time. And
Hmm.
that's just the airport experience. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
gonna
it's
be like
and
an advocate for people against airports.
yeah, and every airport seemingly has like its own layout. Like there's nothing uniform. Like so, you really don't know what to expect. I flew back from Miami to Charleston on Sunday, and was in this long line for what I thought was like checking in and dropping my bag, but then I realized I was only in the if you've already checked in and pre-tagged your bag
Oh
line.
God.
So I had to like leave and like walk all the way down and like get on this other long line. And it's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I think that's, you're never going to eliminate anxiety about the airport because it sucks. It's like being at the post office. It's like, it's never going to be
Yeah.
great.
No. And the thing is, it should be a positive customer service experience because all it is customer service,
Hmm.
taking care of your customers, and they have like completely failed it. And we're all just enabling them because we keep going and showing up for those flights.
Yep. Well, we want to go to Mexico. I wanted to go
Exactly.
to I wanted to go to Miami. It was awesome. I was eating Cuban
Yeah.
food. It was great.
I was living.
Yeah, that was life, man.
It comes at a cost. And I
Part
don't
of
know
that cost is a little bit of our
how we change
soul.
that. Our
Yeah.
soul,
Yeah.
exactly.
For the listeners, I also interviewed a psychologist, Kate Semeniuk, who specializes in helping people with their anxiety. And she had a lot to say about anxiety related to the airport. We have 2 clips with her. So I think it's time to go to the first clip. Can we talk? I know you've got a lot on your plate. You've got work, you've got friends, you've got family, pets, you've got the people that you make small talk with at the coffee shop or gym. You've got that bird that you see when you wake up every morning outside your window that you've projected things onto. Look at that bird. Doesn't even love its family. It's always by itself. You do that. Everyone does that. Point is, you've got a lot on your plate. Well, that's why there's Instacart, to take a little bit off your plate. Using Instacart, you search for all your favorite foods and things that you need from the grocery store, all online, all while you're looking at that bird, wondering why it hasn't called its mom. And they deliver it to you. They go to the store and do the shopping for you. And they can deliver it in as fast as an hour. And you can sign up by clicking the link in the description, wherever you're listening or watching. And that's a great way of supporting the show. So it's a great way of supporting this show. It's a great way to make your life a little bit easier, because we all know that you have so much going on, like wondering whether that bird judges you back. Joining me now from Calgary, I have RTT hypnotherapist Kate Semeniuk. Kate, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, that's great. How are things going on in Calgary right now?
Super hot, lots of mosquitoes. So sit inside, with air conditioning and just enjoying the summer from the window for now.
Yes, you can look at summer. That's good enough.
Yeah, look at summer.
I wouldn't think there would be so many mosquitoes in Calgary, but I guess I'm only picturing it like covered in snow.
You are so right. It's like they haven't seen this in decades here. Like
Oh,
this
really?
is abnormal. Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
It's dry weather here. So usually we don't have a lot of like mosquitoes, wasps, bees. No. But this year, I don't know, humidity, climate change. Yeah.
Isn't that nice, right? We normally don't have mosquitoes, and now we have a lot of them. That's wonderful.
Yes. Well, at least it's warm. So it's not, it's not winter how it usually is in Calgary. So
I love the positive spin. Yeah. Well, to try to segue to our topic today, you need a lot of positivity when you're going to the airport, right? Like just going to the airport, thinking about going to the airport can cause so much anxiety. Right? Are your bags going to get lost? I mean, you can invent a million different things. So I don't even know how to start approaching this. Like if someone's coming to you, how would you start to think about helping them with their anxiety related to airports?
Usually I first tell them that it's not your fault. The fact that you are anxious about what's going to happen at the airport, if everything's going to be okay, packing is another thing, packing for the trip.
Oh my God.
Go to the airport when you have anxiety or when you have any fear related to airports and flying. That's another thing, because people pack, unpack, they book, rebook, schedule, reschedule if it gets really overwhelming, right? Mm. So I usually explain to them that it's not your fault. It's 95% of your mind that is subconscious mind. Mm. So even if logically, like, I'm okay, I can do this. When you battle with your subconscious mind, usually subconscious mind wins.
Oh,
usually,
wow.
In most
95%?
cases. 95%. Can you imagine that? Only 5% is your logic.
Oh my gosh. That makes me feel so out of control.
Yes. And that what usually is another symptom, feeling out of control, because we are not however, we can be in control of our subconscious mind. We just have to make friends. Logic and subconscious mind usually are born to be friends. Your mind is born to be whole friends, right? Everything is connected. Everything works great. But of course, for some reason, we are born into these dynamic families, past experiences, traumatic experiences that make us form the belief, right, that something bad is going to happen. And usually it's like this feeling out of control. This is just a symptom. Usually when I try to help clients, I usually find, okay, what's happening? She's like, well, I don't know. I just get anxious 2 weeks before the flight and I start to pack things and I start to think about what if my flight is delayed and I'm not going to be ready to go, right? Or what if my hotel gets canceled? What if it's delayed and I have to stay over the night in another city where the layover is? So all of these worries start, and it's like, I feel out of control. I was like, okay. I usually say to the client, okay, you're out of control. What happens? You come to the airport and everything is not according to the plan. What's then? It's like, well, then I feel anxious. What's then? It's everything. You come to the airport, the flight is delayed. There is no way to stay. You're trapped in the airport for like another 5 hours. What's then? She's like, well, that's it. I was like, oh, that's when we go into the subconscious mind. Usually that's when they start to say, what is the real cause? So they're like, well, that's it. Well, that's it. I was like, what does it mean to you? That's it. Well, I don't know. That's it. I failed. I was like, so are you afraid of going to the airport or are you afraid of failure?
Oh my God, that's not where I expected that to go. Yeah, right. I got a bad score in a spelling test and now I'm afraid at airports, right?
Right?
Oh my gosh.
You are right. Yeah, that's so. Or people can say, okay, I'm afraid that when I come to my vacation destination, the hotel is delayed. In the airport, it's not confirmed, something overbooked. And I'm out there without anything, without contacts in another country. It's like, what's then? And they were like, oh, that's it. What is your biggest fear? That I won't survive. So every fear comes from the not being able to survive.
Yeah.
So underneath every fear will be a fear of dying.
Wow. That's that for me, it's a lot of what we do. I actually have a story to back that up. Like, so my fiance and I flew to Norway to, I forget the name of the city. It was a small city. We flew from Oslo to a city in the mountains, and the car rental place closed before the flight landed. So I called this car rental place maybe 10 times to the point where they were like, we told you we're going to stay open. But I was just so nervous that like I was just going to be stuck there. And in the countryside of Norway, just to the point that I angered these poor people. But it's frightening at times to travel.
Absolutely. So this feeling like I don't have a choice, right? We want to have a choice. But okay, so when the child is born, right, we don't know these stories about delayed flights, overbooked flights, something happens, your kid wants to the washroom and just got sick and you cannot board the flight, whatever happens. We don't know about that. So we are born with rational fears. So don't step over the edge so you don't fall, right? And don't die. However, the more we grow up, the more stories we hear. Either it's from our parents, movies, social media, news. The more stories we get, the more experience we get. So when we start to get anxious, we start to come up with all of these pictures. Your mind only responds to your thought and to the picture you make in your mind. So when you have this thought, oh, something bad is going to happen. And then you have all of these pictures, all of these catastrophizing, right? Picture, right? So this isn't because it's your fault. It's because of all the stories that you have this kind of file cabinet of different pictures that are not creating good, positive emotions in you. However, excitement and anxiety have very similar body symptoms.
That is true.
So, right?
Yeah.
When you are excited, when you're, for example, going on a date with your girlfriend, right? With your partner, you feel this like rush of, right? Everywhere. Yeah. Here, what's going to
the heart fluttering. Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit of anxiety, but most of it is like, it's going to be so exciting. And so you get this excitement and anxiety have very similar body symptoms. It's just the picture is different.
It's true. Yeah, I haven't even thought of that, but that's exactly true. Yeah, it's just one's colored blue and one's colored in a happier color, I guess. I couldn't come up with one happier color. I don't know why.
Yes. Yes. And that's how I work sometimes with the fear of flying. So first we go back and we find, so the best way to overcome any fear is to understand where is it coming from. And most of the people logically, they understand like, well, yeah, I was on a flight when I was 16 and it was turbulence, or I was going to another country and the airport was chaos. It was a mess, so I just kind of remembered that traumatic experience, emotional, so that I don't want that anymore. So of course, mind will protect you and keep you away by panic attack, anxiety, fears. However, when we go and find out, okay, when did you start to be afraid that something is bad is going to happen? And we usually go into this light meditative state and they go, oh, well, my mom was worried all the time. My mom was anxious all the time, right? Yeah. Or my dad, he always criticized me when I come back from school and I didn't bring a good grade. So you started to fear for the future. We are born as a baby. Babies, like, why they don't have this memory, long-term memory? Because they are in the moment. They're like in the moment right now.
They're basically dogs at that point, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, dog, right? 5 seconds and they forget what they did.
Right.
The same with babies. The same, but when we start to develop our critical thinking about logic, about 5 to 7, we start to look at our parents. What are they anxious about? And if they intensify this feel, like criticizing, maybe a little bit of yelling, a little bit of neglect, whoever had whatever, usually we start to live where? In the future.
So every parent's just hearing this being like, oh God, I'm going to mess up my kid, right?
And definitely not to really put the blame on the parents. I did the same. All of us, we do best based on our experience.
Absolutely.
So every parent gave their child the best they could. Even if that best is very, very sad and very, very maybe abusive or whatever it was, it's still the best that the parent could give based on what they have. If you don't have an apple, you cannot give an apple. The same with touch, physical touch, emotional connection, right? If a parent doesn't have it, they cannot give it. Until they learn how to give it. But not everyone does, so that's okay. Everyone has its own path. So when we get so worried about going to the airport and thinking about what is going to happen, maybe my tickets will not work to scan, or I will forget my passport. That's the biggest one, right? People go and triple check if they took all the documents, because the biggest fear is like, this is it. So sometimes the root cause of it may be when in growing up or until the age of 18, for example, the child gets very excited about something and abruptly it ends. So when the child really gets excited about, oh, I'm going to win that competition, I'm going to win that, and the kid really like trains, tries hard, and then they don't. And on top of that, they have criticism from coach or from a parent. They feel excited, and then boom, abruptly ends. So that could cause a person be very anxious when they go somewhere. Think, I want to be excited for that trip. I want to be excited, but what if something bad happens? Just like
I've messed up before, right? I'll mess up again.
Yeah, right. So we start to remember those moments because they were very emotional, and we were disappointed and upset and maybe a lot sad. That this is going to be like that forever. And why that happens is because our subconscious mind doesn't understand time. It doesn't know time. So when we form a belief like, oh, this is going to be like that forever, every time I get excited, something bad happens.
Yeah.
Our mind doesn't know that it's actually temporary, that you can change that belief, that it's not going to be forever. No, our subconscious mind, I'll make sure you remember about that all the time. And it's good. Look at that. It's great, because when you are learning how to drive, all of your skills, driving skills, go into the subconscious mind. You need to pull them out. Every time you sit, you go into your car and try to. So your mind is supposed to not have understand time. So you can pull out any skill, reading, writing, all these automatic, you are supposed to have it. But sometimes, of course, on top of those good skills that we put in our subconscious mind, we put some skills that don't benefit us. And that exactly, right? So our mind doesn't know time. So it doesn't understand. Every time we get triggered when we're going to the airport, people just have to write down what exactly is the fear. The fear of being out of control. You're out of control. Imagine you're out of control. Everyone went the wrong way. What's now? You usually have what's now? What's now? And then you will go to that same root fear. What is that? Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of dying, fear, whatever that fear
of discomfort. Yeah. I feel like that discomfort keeps coming back into my mind. Like, I don't want to be uncomfortable for so long. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm fearful that I'm going to have to suffer. It's not actual, it's suffering, but a lighter version of suffering.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a suffer. Usually everything that hurts you emotionally, it's your ego. Ego hurts. You don't hurt. It's ego. But aside from that, when in your life you have to think, and it's good to think. And usually the best way to think is to close our eyes. When we close our eyes, that's when we stop that critical thinking. The weather outside, the therapist is in front of me, he's looking at me, all of these. Yeah. When you close your eyes, you start to see more and you start to really feel more. So that's why people kind of promote meditations, right? And all the other mindfulness practices, because closing our eyes is already a first step to looking inwards. So when did you decide that being uncomfortable is very painful? When did you, right? So somewhere,
right? Because as a kid, I was never, the few times that I flew, it was just pure excitement, exactly what you're describing before. But at some point I decided the seats are too small and it's going to be hot. And yeah, it's somewhere in there, maybe my college age, I just decided that this is
what happened. What happened in the college year? Something happened in college years. Something happened that you started to feel very uncomfortable. And it's this is not what I like. Yeah. I'll make sure that I am comfortable. I'll make sure I'm in this comfort zone, right? Mm-hmm. However, and it's already proven by research, people have even more anxiety in the comfort zone.
Really?
Because so
why
when you're in the because they don't grow. We are born for evolution, for growing all the time. This is our how we are programmed. Being in the comfort zone makes us think that, oh no, you want that excitement. You want that excitement, but you don't get it because everything is kind of planned already. So we are programmed to have that growth all the time. However, our mind doesn't like that. Our subconscious mind no, don't. This is why we have logic. This is why we are different from animals. Our logic is growing, experiencing, enjoying, right? Understanding some bigger things than just animals, right?
Yeah.
But your subconscious no. Let's just stay in this comfort zone. And then there is this conflict. Logically understand there is so much more to life, but your subconscious no, stay in a comfort zone. And you stay because subconscious mind is stronger. We usually stay in the comfort zone and we feel this, we still feel anxiety.
So stagnant. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Either the life, right?
That in people who are afraid to take chances on businesses or whatever they'd like to, or right. There are just certain people that you can look at them and see that they're stuck. Right.
Absolutely. And in procrastination and self-sabotage, it is also an anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I could have, but I couldn't. I would have, what if?
Yeah.
So in the comfort zone, you have these questions, right? What if? I could have, I should have. Life is just going and I'm just not living, I think. I'm just surviving.
Just a passenger. Yeah.
Yeah. So we go, so this is great to relate to the worries about what is going to happen in the airport. Usually just in our mind, it's great to go and find that. Usually when we go to the fear of dying, that's it. I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to survive. So that's it. And I don't want that. So when we go to the fear of dying, and it's usually for phobias and fears, it will be the cause. Fear of dying is usually not following your heart, not doing what you love, and not knowing about death. We don't learn about that a lot, so we don't know. So we are afraid of that. And another one is, I haven't even lived. I cannot die here because I cannot die now.
Yeah, I've definitely thought of that. Yeah. Right? Oh my God. Regret. I've been on planes recently and been like, oh man, if this plane goes down, I haven't accomplished anything that I've wanted to, right? Yeah, I'm sure I've done some fun things, but yeah, just putting that heaviness right on my shoulders.
Yes. And the more heaviness you put, the more body sin, because your body listens to every thought. Every cell in your body listens to every thought in your mind. So whenever there is like, oh, no, your body's like, oh, and then you got this, right? And some people feel body symptoms, anxiety in different body parts, right? Sometimes people feel tension in their head. Yes, right? Yeah. Sometimes people feel in their stomach, right? Stomach, sometimes shaking, dizziness. So goosebumps, shaking, numbing of the finger. Like there's so many. So usually the body, the part of the body that is responding also can tell you a lot about your life. You know, so if it's, yes. So if we have headaches, so sometimes anxiety is causing us headaches, dizziness, headaches, too much thinking, too much logic. Put too much logic, don't listen to your emotions and to your heart. Disconnection, tension. The fascia here, that is a tension. So what is there? What is there? What do you don't want to see? What you don't want to see. So because eyes here and the tension, it's all connected. Sometimes it's here, right? Over here. So the anger, right? The trapped here. Anger.
Yeah.
Right. And when we don't express that anger, we feel anxious because we didn't do that. Lump in the throat. What you didn't say. Maybe you had an argument. By the way, many times people get triggered in the airport because something happened in the airport. So either they received some sudden, unexpected news in the airport. So their mind is like a photograph, if a camera. It will photograph everything that is happening around them in the emotional moment. So, for example, a girlfriend and a boyfriend, they separated. They just kind of had an argument. It's like, okay, I'm going. Okay, that's it. And it happened in the airport or just before the flight, just before going some on vacation. The girl or the boy, if it's too emotional, they can take pictures of everything, the time, the season, the moments, going on vacation, in the airplane, in the airport. So you can get triggered without even knowing that. Like, why do I always get like so angry in the airports?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, for some people, right? Or maybe something happened, if the turbulence happened. Same. It triggered the fear of dying. Oh, I haven't even lived. That could be. So we don't work on that anxiety. We work on that worry back in when did it happen? So this is why regressing a person back into those moments and looking at that, when the person understands, every time they go into the airport, for example, after the hypnotherapy session or some guided meditations that usually get to the root cause. So when you do that, every time you get to the airport, I was like, oh, this is why. Like my dad used to yell at me all the time that I have to think about the future. So now, every time I think about the future, something exciting, I get anxious.
Thanks,
but because we understand that, I was like, but I'm not my dad. Like he had his own problems. So when you get that big understanding, then I was like, oh, this is why. But I'm not 5. I'm not 5 when he was yelling at me. I'm not 8 when he was yelling. I'm not in school. I don't have to fit into their family anymore.
Yeah.
So
I have a master's degree. I'm doing things. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. When you get that understanding, it's easier for us to like, oh, yes, this is why. Right. Or when we already lived that experience, for example, we are worried about something happening. So I usually go with the client and tell them, okay, imagine that happened. Everything is messed. Everything. You're on the street. outside. Hotel is overbooked. No credit cards, blocked. What's now? And they're like, well, that's it. And that's I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I have 2 kids and my husband with me. What I'm gonna do? Well, I guess I go to the closest police station, So we start to like develop what is going to happen. So when they live that experience in their mind, they come up with like, oh, I actually have a choice. It's not the end.
Yeah. Right off the bat, I love that Kate was talking about anxiety is not your fault. I know it's like such a simple thing, but it's like a helpful reminder that when I get anxious, and I don't know about you, like I feel bad. I feel like, why am I doing this to myself and the people around me? Is that something that you feel?
Yeah, I'm just like, why would I even put myself in this position? This is like so irresponsible to the self. And this is punishing and blah, 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 blah. It just doesn't feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, not at all. But even, but what, she started to talk about like the root causes is something that you were saying, like, burrow down to what anxiety is. And it's like a fear of failure, a fear of death, all these like super epic seeming things. But it does make sense that it's like, because at the surface level, being nervous at the airport is seemingly superficial, but it's deeper than that.
When she was like, your biggest fear is that I won't survive, I was like, yeah, that is very applicable to the airport. I won't survive this line. I won't survive this meal without getting my check-in before the plane leaves. And then you're on the airplane and you're like, will I survive the airplane? It's just like, it is kind of like you're putting your survival to the test when you go to the airport.
Seriously. And, it's a good thing that I had edited these clips and sent them to you before my latest trip, because I don't know if I sent this to you in one of our group chats, but so I had to go to work in Salt Lake City. And so I flew to Salt Lake City early and drove down to Moab, Utah to do some hiking for a few days. And I got to Moab, Utah, 2 flights, 4-hour drive after that, got to Moab at 1:00 a.m. Mountain Time, which is 3 a.m. for me coming from the East Coast, and show up at my hotel. And there was a note taped to the door saying that they don't let people check in after 11 p.m.
Okay.
So it's 1 a.m. I'm exhausted. I am cranky as can be. And my brain immediately goes like, I live in my rental car now, right? Like what's going to happen? Like it was cold because it was, it's November out there and
oh God,
it's cold. Yeah. I just started frantically calling, but like I did. So to bring it back to the interview with Kate, it's like, I had just remembered her talking about, all right, so what then, and following the lead. So I don't have this hotel. What now? Start calling other hotels. Okay. If that doesn't work, what then? Sleep in my car with the heater on. I would survive. I probably wouldn't die, but.
Right. Like she was kind of like, okay, so then how are you going to solve this? And you're like, what? Because like when you're stuck in that like anxious mode, you can't reason, you can't logic. Like she said, it's like the subconscious mind just like on the wheel. And you're just like, you have to just like solve the riddle at that point. But it's like, but you can do it.
Yeah. And you're wasting energy by spinning in your tires, just being like, holy shit, this sucks. It's like, well, you could write a blog about it later. Talk about it on your podcast later.
But you're gonna get through it.
Yeah. But it's nice.
Said,
oh, go ahead.
When she was like, anxiety and excitement are similar body symptoms, that like blew my mind. Like there's a lot of things she said that I really like kind of have been like working through because I was like, wow, like a lot of the things she said. But that one I was just like, like when I'm really excited, it is the exact same feeling of like clam hands, stomach weirdness, just sweatiness as like anxiety. Those are just like the same exact experiences.
Body only has a few ways of reacting, and it's like shifting blood around to different body parts.
So when you're going on a trip, you're excited about the trip, but you're anxious about the journey. So then it's like double time that.
So you could probably trick yourself to be like, I'm just excited
too. Yeah, you could.
What'd you say?
Well, I think you're just feeling those body symptoms times two. So it's like crazy sweat, crazy digestive problems. If I go on my Twitter, I think like 80% of my tweets, I never tweet, but 80% of the ones that I have done have been from just like airport bathrooms. Why? Because my stomach. I don't know.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go back and read your Twitter.
If you go down, it's like just like airport bathroom jokes. I'm like, geez.
But like you were saying, like, you know, a lot of these things we're able to work through, and like understanding where the fear comes from and like what we are experiencing, because when you are experiencing like the sweat and the other nervous system reactions that you have, if you're not cued in on, oh, like that's what's happening, right? Like my body is just like, I'm excited and anxious and that's what's happening. Just trying to like stop the, you know, we've been using a lot of car metaphors. So stop the car from veering off the road.
Stop the car. Yeah. Stop the airplane.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like it's just lack of control. You're just like, how do I regain control here? Which is what she said, the fear of being out of control, fear of discomfort. And that's what it is. It's just major fear of discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that she was saying like it all goes back to childhood, which for you, like that line
100%
draws perfectly. Yeah.
So I was like really working through some stuff yesterday. I was like, this goes back to me not feeling in control of like getting to school on time or getting to the airport, or like having parents being like, this is like supposed to be really hysterical, so we're just going to be hysterical. And then I joined the hysteria. That was, and they were doing their best. Like she said, they had 3 kids that were not chill, that were probably like fighting in the back. And like, that's just how we did it. We just were very uncalm, not cool at all. We were not collected, and we were getting to the airport.
Just a tumbleweed of chaos making its way towards a Florida airport.
Yeah. And I think the memories do start from like 5 to 7, you know, which is when she said those are like the fundamental years. And I kind of made note to self, be really, really chill when my daughter is 5 to 7, so that she doesn't, you know, have any of those neuroses develop.
Yeah. Well, I also think, you know, our parents' generation, like my parents were similar in that it's like, all right, a flight, we got to be there 3 hours before.
Yeah.
I think it's probably cultural, or just maybe that's what it was like when they were.
Well, you have 2 siblings too, right?
I do.
Are you 3?
Yeah. I have 2 siblings.
So I feel like they had to corral 3 kids to the airport.
I was a perfect angel. So yeah.
we were nuts. We were like feral children.
Yeah.
Like they were probably like, I don't even know if they're going to get in the car, so we have to start this
just
like
swinging terrible towels the whole time. I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we made it any easier. But
yeah. Oh, the last thing that I wanted to make sure I brought up was the subconscious like really wants to stay put and avoid any discomfort. Isn't that like insane that she was talking about that's 95%? Doesn't it explain so much when you meet people and people who don't want to do anything? Oh my gosh.
Logic is only 5%. Logic has to step up.
Right? Do your thing.
What's it doing? It's such a like procrastinator. It's like me when I have a job doing the bare minimum. Logic.
Right. This will work itself out.
Subconscious is the weekend. It's just your weekend brain. It's where you want to be 95% of the time.
It's just the devil on your shoulder being like, come on, we don't have to do shit.
Yeah, someone's got to figure out how to even out those numbers a little bit.
Seriously.
I guess that's what therapy is, but like if there's an easier way to do that.
That's hilarious that I wasn't even considering therapy is like exactly that. Like giving you the tools to manage that. I'm having breakthroughs here. You know, who needs therapy when you have a podcast?
She was saying like you're born growing all the time, but the subconscious mind doesn't like that. Come around to it, subconscious mind. I don't like doing a lot of things, but I do them.
Right. And you haven't died.
Exactly. So again, even out those numbers.
Yeah.
Your body listens to these are like the things that stood out to me that I wrote down. Your body listens to every thought in your mind. That's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean the mind-body connection.
It's why
Body
yoga
listens
is
to every thought
helpful
in your mind.
to release anxiety. I started doing yoga a couple of years ago it's
Yeah.
amazing. Like anxiety just like lives in your whatever, right? Some people in the
Yeah.
shoulders, like I clench my
Yeah.
teeth all the time.
Yeah.
Just a way to like get it out.
Yeah. So when you're at the airport, your body's just tense and you're sitting in these small little seats, crouched up like a folding chair.
Is my
Everything's
phone going to stay
uncomfortable.
charged?
Is my
Right.
phone staying charged? Is the guy going to get me at the airport after I get off this? How am I going to get to the Uber line? It's just like everything is inconvenient and out of your control.
Mm-hmm. And it's
And
going
then
to
you
suck.
then you have severe back pain for a week because A, everything was uncomfortable, and B, your body was freaking out the whole time.
And despite all the times that you remind yourself about your posture,
Yeah.
just refuse.
I've been crouching this entire time.
I'm crouching right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got like vulture looking shoulders right now.
Like I could have sat in a situation with a rest, but I slouched on the bench the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good time to go to the second clip we have with Kate, where we talk about some of the fixes and things you can do about your anxiety related to the airport.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about, so there's all these pre-planning things that you can do where you're describing here. Let's say you've done all that, you've gotten to the route, you know why it's going to happen. You've run through these scenarios and you get to the airport and you're having a meltdown. You're like anxiety through the roof. Are there different things that you can do to help yourself in a worst case scenario?
Okay, three things. And probably every anxiety therapist will tell you that, but three things that are the most essential for living is water, breathing, and moving. So sometimes moving is not very possible in the airport when you have a meltdown, but water can help. Interrupting. So interrupting is like putting the water on your face, right? Interrupt the pattern, right? It's called. It can help. Or pinching yourself really hard. It can help interrupt, bring your thoughts to something else. In case you have a meltdown, panicky mode, if there is someone with you, they can help you, like pinch you, shaking. There is a vagus nerve, so people can do the massage. And it's really funny. Of course, you can do it in the washroom, I guess, not really outside, but you put two fingers into your ears and you massage. When you
I gotta try that.
A Q-tip.
I guess that is kind of common.
So good. Yeah. Have you ever cleaned your ears with a Q-tip? It's like, oh, this feels good.
Yeah. It's like a dog getting scratched on the neck, like that kind of reaction. Yeah.
Exactly. They have the vagus nerve as well over there, and we have as well. So massaging your ears, this is the vagus nerve endings here. So they can calm you down from that fight or flight mode. What happens in anxiety attack? What happens? Everyone knows fight or flight mode. But what happens in the body? All the blood, your body is like, I need to save you. So I will put all the blood and all the oxygen in the biggest muscles you have. So you can run away and you can fight back. So usually heart pumping, putting you're stronger, you're braced.
Yeah.
However, the body is I can't give oxygen to all the organs. So I will take away from somewhere dizziness, oxygen from the head. You don't need your head to run away and to fight. You don't need it. That's
so funny. It's like we don't need the main computer to be running at top.
Right? You don't need digestive system. You don't need digestive system to run away. So that's why people have diarrhea before the flights sometimes, right? Letting go, because you don't need the digestive system. So I'll stop. I'll kind of slow down. So we may feel lots of sensations over there. You don't need other organs like kidneys. So it will deprive the oxygen from the organs that are not needed, from smaller muscles, fingers. You will have knuckles, but you don't have numbness in the fingers. Whatever.
You don't need dexterity to throw a big punch. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the body wants to save you. So in order to get your body out of there, right? It's good to do some massage here, here, this is really good. Ice, this is really good to calm down the anxiety attack right away, that panicky, as you said, meltdown.
That is a good reminder. It's sorry to cut you off there, but that's a good reminder, because you can tell yourself and repeat even out loud that I need to reset, but that's not a real reset. Like pinching yourself or something is like it breaks the train of thought, I guess.
Yeah, like, like doing this, like something to interrupt the thought. And it may feel even frustrated because your mind will be very strong to protect you in the anxiety attack. So usually it will be very resistant to these pinches, to these, but still it will interrupt your mind pattern, your thinking. It's like, okay. And then you can start like, oh, okay, I'm better now. And then you can start telling yourself better story. For example, listening to making yourself a recording. Great way. Making yourself your own voice recording. When you are in a relaxed state at home, couple of weeks before the trip, you still haven't started to pack. So you still haven't started to have that real worry.
Slow ramp up. Yeah.
Yeah. You can record. I am calm. I'm relaxed. I'm going right into the airport and I'll feel great. I feel excited. This feeling in my stomach is excitement, because you might still feel it. But when you tell yourself it's excitement, it's like, no, not that bad. So it won't trigger you to have a panic attack or anxiety attack. So I'm excited. I'm checking in. Everything goes smooth. I'm having a coffee, enjoying a podcast, about anxiety.
Yeah. It would be hard for me to not like throw a little dig in there myself. You're anxious again, big guy?
Oh yeah, you can. Smiling, laughing, jokes helps a lot.
Oh, good.
You're already there, right? Like laughing, smiling, talking to someone, meeting someone. And I know that some people just want to be by themselves, so they can just saying themselves this into the recording. And when they are in the airport, they start to feel these feelings of worry, overwhelming thoughts. They put on the recording and they listen. Just listening to your own voice already interrupts other thoughts.
Yeah, it does.
So
everybody hates the sound of their own voice. Yeah.
Well, by the way, this is a really good thing, right? If we don't like the sound of our voice, there is a little self-rejection, right?
Yeah.
I also, when I listen to my podcast or I listen to my meditations, and I'm like, a little bit of self-rejection, a little bit of self-acceptance needed, self-acceptance needed to when we don't like our voice. Usually we sometimes get resistant to our own name. Not everyone, but some people do, right? So they kind of like not accepting themselves. So this is something like self-love, right? Self-care. These good practices should be kept for people.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I want to hear about your podcast a little bit.
Oh, I'm only starting the podcast.
Just starting it. Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Starting it. Yeah, I'm so excited. And it's going to be short audios, short little recordings about your mind, about our mind, subconscious mind, how to get those triggers, flashbacks, fears out of that subconscious mind. I think it's very valuable.
I love that idea. You're an expert in your topic. You're very animated and you have a lot of interesting things to say. So I think it's going to work out great for you. Yeah. What's the name of it going to be?
Yeah. Sorry.
What's the name of it going to be?
What is wrong with me?
Oh, I love that. I'm surprised that name hasn't been taken. Like, that's such a good name.
I know, right? Yeah. I was thinking about that. I already put in the ideas, and I think it's great. It's great. And I think that people need to know more about themselves. And then they can, grow. When we learn something new about ourselves, that's when we grow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do the course. I'm launching the course in September as well.
What is that?
This is going to be working on your subconscious mind. So technically, people can be their own therapists.
Cool.
So there can be 15 practical lessons, guided meditations where you can kind of resolve the conflict by yourself. So assignment, lecture, practice. So very practical course that works on inner critic, inner child, forgiveness, gratefulness, grief, as physical symptoms, belief systems. So all of those things that people need to kind of learn more about and uncover from their past programming.
Incredible. I love that. I mean, who doesn't, it's like self-help, but you can do it in your own time, right? It's like in the world that we live in now, it's people go to college online. It's nice to, whatever you can do in your free time to better yourself. I mean, that's wonderful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, these podcasts like these, right? They're telling people more about this is what you can do. This is what you can do. This is what happens. Yes, it happens. Now this is what you can do.
Exactly. That's not, if this, then that. That's what my podcast is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make sure, is there anything you think I'm missing or anything else you think is important related to this discussion?
Yes. One more thing that is it's good to know that why we are so affected by our past experiences, because when we are children, we believe we have no choice. And that's true. We actually don't have a lot of choice.
Yeah.
We are in that state of no choice for so long that when we grow up, we still subconsciously believe we don't have a choice.
Oh my goodness.
Right? When you feel like, well, I don't have any other choice. When I ask people, why do you work at the job that you hate? Well, I don't have any other choice. I have bills, mortgages, kids go to private schools. I was like, who created that reality? Well, I created the reality. Do you have a choice? No, I don't have a choice. Let's think again. Do you have a choice? Well, yeah, I can actually, put my kids into the public school, sell the house, rent a cheaper place. I do have a choice. I just don't want to take it.
Right.
And that programming that I don't have a choice. I'm helpless and there is no way out, and it's going to be like that forever. So the biggest understanding for the person is that we still believe we don't have a choice. That's what, by the way, meditations, therapists are trying, yoga teachers, hypnotherapists, life coaches, they try to kind of tell people, you do, you just believe you don't.
Right. I mean, what so much of life's suffering and anxiety is caused by thinking that I'm in this box, and it's just like, you're not in a box, right? I'm trying to make a metaphor here with my hands, but yeah.
It's a nice metaphor, by the way. Your mind works in metaphors.
Nice.
The more metaphors you do in your mind, the more you can work with those metaphors. So I very often feel clients imagine boxes. I'm in the box. I'm in that box and I'm trapped and don't have a way out. People with fear of flying, by the way, a lot have this. I'm in the box. So usually this is that belief of that little boy, who decided like, this is it. This is it.
Right, this is how I die
forever.
Yeah.
But absolutely. And we live in that and we believe in it. And everything in our life happens to confirm our beliefs. But when you change the beliefs, everything happens according to the new belief.
That's great, man. It's so much nicer to think that you have so much more that you can do to help yourself. That's what a nicer place.
Absolutely. Yeah. And our brain is a muscle. Muscle, you don't go to the gym, the muscle will not work to the full capacity. The same as the brain. You train it the way you want it. It's like we also get frustrated when we go into the gym and we cannot lift the weight that we wanted. But the same we get when we get negative thoughts. And we're like, well, I'm trying to be positive, but still these negative thoughts are coming in. That's the same. You get frustrated that the negative is coming into our mind. But our mind is wired to the negative, of course, to protect us, to see all the dangers. However, we have logic that can give us positive.
Love it. Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. Well, yeah, I've really, really enjoyed this conversation. One thing we haven't mentioned is where people can find you on social media and where your website is so people can find the course.
Absolutely. My website is katesemeniuk.com. I'm very active on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel with lots of fears. Any fear you can think about. Fear of making mistakes, fear of rejection, fear of loneliness, fear of losing, fear of punishment, getting in trouble, whatever you want is there out there with roots and causes and possible exit plans. So I'm very active on the YouTube channel. I'm very active on Facebook and on Instagram, posting almost every day about fears, our subconscious mind. So they can find me there, Kate Semeniuk Therapy, and they will find me.
Love it. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed this, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Today's episode is sponsored by My Software Tutor. Can Excel be my friend? Do you want a new friend? Thinking about making new friends both makes me excited and sad. So it can be hard to make friends as you get older. And so I feel like sometimes you get surrounded by people. It's like, yeah, I guess we're friends. But also if you truly connect with someone, you can make new friends as an adult. On both sides of the fence here. So Excel can be your friend, or it could be surrounding you. That's just probably because you don't know it that well. Many people, I've deviated so far from the copy, let me get back to it. Can Excel be my friend? Many people have wondered this for years. The answer is, yes it can. That was so much shorter than where I was going with it. All right, let's talk about My Software Tutor. They offer 3 levels of real-time Zoom-based courses with a live instructor. They all deliver practical, functional business skills in a friendly, supportive environment. That sounds nice. I mean, it could be so daunting to learn Excel or make friends. These courses will increase your marketability, whether you're an employee, job seeker, consultant, or contractor. That sounds pretty good. Register at mysoftwaretutor.com and use the promo code POD20 to save. And use the promo code POD20 to save 20% off all registrations. So some of the things she was talking about that can help you when you're having like a meltdown at the airport make sense, but are also kind of hilarious. Like you just see people just pinching themselves.
Yeah, and then the ear massage, just like taking out a Q-tip and Q-tipping yourself.
Yeah.
Ear massaging.
But I don't know. Like I tried it. It's like, I don't think I could do that in public because it feels like I'm doing something weird for some reason. But that's my own personal hang up.
Yeah.
But I do understand.
Also, though, if you saw someone scratching their ears like that, you'd be like, that's kind of weird.
It is. Yeah. I hope I'm not sitting next to that person.
Yeah.
For a 4 hour
what if they touch you with their earwax?
Jeez. But going, some of the more relatable things are, breathing and going for a walk, drinking some water, probably not the best, but I like to have a nice Pinot Grigio, when I'm in the
me
airport.
too. I know you're not supposed to, but it gets me to the next stage on that airplane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do try to stay hydrated. I'm drinking a lot of water that day. Every now and then I'll get up and stretch a little bit, just try to stretch the bod. Especially if I'm flying international, I might just take 5 to stretch.
Yeah.
I just got to try to get the self-care in.
You do.
Because the airport is not going to take care of you because they're the abusers.
Fight the power. Yeah.
And she was like, you can listen to your own voice. That I probably wouldn't do because I'd be like, shut up.
Yeah. I get what you're trying to do past Hannah. Yeah. Right? I see through it.
This isn't calming at all. You
suck. Yeah.
Maybe if it was Mr. Rogers' voice or something.
Yeah. But it's you. So your own bullshit and you're not going to stand for it.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah. I know you're an anxious little bastard. Don't talk to me.
You got me into this.
Right.
This was your idea.
Yeah. And also laughing at yourself. I don't think she was fully understanding that I meant really cutting myself to the absolute core. Being mean to myself. Yeah.
That was very relatable to me.
Yeah. Oh, you're anxious again? What a shock. Great. You're really growing as a person, Pat.
God, you're such a loser. Why do you have friends?
You're right. In fact, you probably don't have any friends. Well, it all comes down to feeling what she said about children was another mind explosion for me, where it was we spend most of our lives not having a choice. So now as adults, we feel like we still don't have a choice. And that is It's so true.
It just stunts your development.
Yeah.
You feel like I have progressed in no way.
But also, let's be honest, up into like probably sophomore year of college, like I needed complete bumpers, right, to keep me down the lane, to make another
right
crazy metaphor. My brain wasn't fully developed. Like I needed to be told what to do and where to go.
Yeah, the frontal lobes or whatever were not complete yet.
Yeah, just wearing pajama pants to college, like that was my choice. Like that's who I was. It's not gonna cut it.
I was like tie-dye t-shirts. I like showed up to class, so I thought I was doing fine.
Yeah, but we have a lot more choice than we think. Like exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
squeezing in that self-care,
squeezing in the self-care, being like, okay, I'm gonna at least be physically in my best place. If I need to listen to calming music while I walk through the airport, I'm gonna do that. If I need to just let my daughter like watch TV the whole time, she can do that. I don't care. When we get into the air, it's like anything goes.
Yeah.
If you want to just watch TV the whole time, eat candy. As long as it's not violent, as long as it's safe, we got to get there. You do you, me do me. Let's do it.
I love it. There we go. Well, I'm curious. So, of course, with any of these issues that I bring up on the podcast, you're not going to be cured or have all the tools. But I'm curious if you notice any sort of change from where you were before listening to the clips, or what was like something that you feel like you could use and help yourself with.
Just to like remind yourself that you're reacting from a place of anxiety, which is your body just being nervous about feeling no control, and just to say like, you know what, I don't have any control, and just to sort of surrender some of that. And then I think just like she said, like, okay, well, if this goes wrong, then what are you going to do? And then what are you going to do? Just kind of like working through that. 2 flights ago, my airplane just didn't take off because the weather tower in Santa Fe had like closed for the night. So they just like didn't fly our airplane out, and we were stuck in Dallas for the night. Luckily I was with my friend Marianne, so it was like, and we were going for a bachelorette party, and it was 3 nights, and that was like one of the nights. It was already like a short trip. It was like, I'd left my daughter, like it took a lot for me to like get on this trip, but just to say like, okay, well, we got a hotel, and then I got to hang out with Marianne. We had like a little bit more like one-on-one time, and like, this is just a story, just to say like, okay, this awful thing happened, but this is how you're gonna get through it. And like, one day you might laugh about it. It might be an interesting story.
Yeah.
Just sort of look at it that way, I guess.
I feel like most negative things that have happened to me in my life are now stories that like, it's
they're
not
your
that
best
you should
stories
look at
almost.
bad things. What'd you say?
Sometimes they're like your most interesting story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's almost like fun to like be like, oh, well, did you hear my bad airport story? And then you share it, and you're on land and you're in control, and it's like fun to talk about.
Absolutely. So just reminding yourself in that moment that,
yeah,
even though it's 1 a.m. in Moab and you don't have a hotel room, that if you call 7, one of them will have space.
exactly.
And then you can have fun writing a scathing review. We do have that control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just get through it and then make it fun. I mean, that's why we do comedy, because we just try to make it funny, and life is a comedy of errors. So that's my conclusion.
Love it.
Go Steelers. We're having a tough season this year, but it's a rebuilding year, and I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah. Well, you're basically the Jets of 2011 now.
It's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Well, I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm wondering if there's any social media, or I don't know if you're doing any improv shows coming up or anything you want to mention.
I'm on a minor hiatus at this time.
Good for you. I respect that. And I wish I was doing that too.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Good luck with your trip tomorrow. And
all right, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm going to take these tools and bring them with me tomorrow.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Do you wish you were one of those thoughtful card people but don't have the time or energy? I don't know why I did bunny ears on that. Or maybe you had a personal assistant. I like to pretend sometimes when I'm running errands that I am my own person. I make up games in my head. I might be revealing too much about myself. But you don't need to pretend to be your own personal assistant, at least when it comes to cards. Because the Cardist Studio is your personal assistant. Let's set up a situation. You think, oh, I should send them a card. But things get in the way. You're busy. All you'd have to do is jump onto thecardiststudio.com and tell them exactly what just popped in your head and why. And you'll get credit for your thoughtfulness. Here's what they'll do with that information. They'll get your personalized message handwritten into the card and into the mail for you. And you don't have to save space in your brain for this character that you've created as a made-up personal assistant. This bit is really getting off the rails. It's fast, it's custom, and it's a total life changer. Hey, you are a thoughtful card person now. Thecardiststudio.com. Thoughtful. Just got easy. And you can use the promo code ANXIETYPOD for 10% off your orders. Ah, man, the airport. Thank you so much to Hannah and to Kate. I mean, I mentioned it in the episode, but I was recording, or I was editing the clips from mine and Kate's discussion when I had that issue with a hotel in Moab. It was like perfect timing that I had that seated in my brain. Just start to work the problem. Just work the problem. Because it's easier to just get into a spiral of just, I'm going to die. And you're not going to die. It sucks, but you're not going to die. I mean, you are going to die, but not because your hotel has weird policies. All right, before I get to the weird thing that's causing me anxiety this week, I just want to remind you of my other podcast called Death Space Filling the Void. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts. And then a reminder of our sponsors. You support the sponsors, which helps support the show. So the first one is the Buy Me a Coffee link. That's a direct way to support. You can make a donation through the link in the description wherever you're listening. Then there's Instacart, where you can sign up for grocery delivery. And by doing that, by clicking the link in the description, you're telling Instacart that this show sent you, which helps support the show. My Software Tutor. Then there's My Software Tutor, who's offering the promo code POD20 for 20% off any courses you want to take. And the Cardist Studio's offering the promo code ANXIETYPOD for 10% off. So yeah, thank you so much to all of the sponsors. Okay, the weird thing that's been causing me anxiety this week, it's kind of exciting. We got solar panels on our house, but I've just been anxious, and we've been anxious about whether or not it was the right choice, because, you know, you have to pay for the solar panels only work when the sun is up, right? And it doesn't initially have the battery, and the batteries are expensive, so you rely on the normal grid, but you still have to pay for the solar panels. So now you're paying the solar panels and whatever electricity you use at night. So I've just been anxious about if I've shot myself in the foot. Did we make our utility bills go through the roof? Maybe. I guess we won't know until we know. But yeah, from an environmental perspective, it's kind of nice to have some solar panels, and maybe over time we'll add that battery, which I don't know if it charges up enough to get you through a whole night. It certainly depends on what you're doing. So I guess the answer is we'll see, and I'll just sit in this anxiety. Just like taking a tub, sitting in a bath where the water is just my anxiety at a tepid temperature. None of that makes sense. Excuse that metaphor. Well, as always, have a great week. Won't talk to you next week. Maybe I'll put a little pop-in thing there. But have a great Thanksgiving, and otherwise the next full episode will be in 2 weeks.